People go to the movies, people watch stand-up, people listen to podcasts because they want to either escape or learn something or both. I've written 15 books, 3 bestsellers, 1 #1 international bestseller.
I'm constantly thinking about the game of expansion. How do I take on more but do less?
Those who tell the stories rule society.
If there was one thing you could share with the audience so they would be more fully sold on themselves, what would that be?
I would ask them if they realize they are the main character in their story.
Life is a pitch. It's simply that. It is a pitch, and it is fun. Let's make sure that you're being sold what you want and you're selling what you actually want to sell. I really just love selling. It's the easiest thing on the planet if you believe in yourself. Let's buckle up. By the way, my name's JL. This is Sell Anything.
Welcome to the Sell Anything podcast. I'm your host, JL. This is the one and only Forbes Shannon. Forbes Shannon is really a jack of all trades, but funny. And he's an incredible storyteller and has been behind the scenes of some of the biggest books that have been written, international bestsellers even. And so, Forbes, I want to start with a question other than the, hey, tell me everything.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Sounds great.
So before we started the show,
Okay.
we noticed that one of our friends had a decent amount of chest hair.
Yeah.
And I pointed out, I was like, that's impressive. And then you shared a story that I think we should start with that illustrates how funny you actually are.
Yeah, we'll just lead with the chest hair bit.
Okay.
Yeah, no, in high school, well, in my experience, 4 out of every 5 women likes chest hair, but
Okay.
0 out of every 5 women likes back hair.
Fair.
Yeah, and that's just a survey of my 5 ex-girlfriends.
Okay.
But to ask my high school date to prom, I shaved prom ? Into my chest hair.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I said, yo, girl, I got something to get off my chest.
What's the most impressive is that in high school you had that much chest hair.
Yeah, it's nuts. I don't have any hair on my head. This is the best beard I can grow, and I've had this voice and chest hair since I was like 14. Yeah. You don't get to choose the puberty you go through, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, Forbes, I think there's not been a better intro ever done in the history of Sell Anything. So, dude, tell us about you, man.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
You had my mentor and my best friend, Aaron Bear, on your podcast
Stud.
early on.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah, he's my guy. I went to Arizona State. I was an entrepreneurship fellow and a writer's fellow, and that's where I met Aaron. He was my professor, and that was kind of the origin story of like how I launched my career. Aaron and I, during COVID, got together and we worked on his book. We wrote 3 books together. We've got 3 more coming out next year. But our 3rd book that we wrote together was Exponential Theory, which was a USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestseller.
Wow.
And it was like essentially the thesis of that book is that when people think bigger, they inherently become more conscious. So Aaron and I have been focusing on this idea of how can you think big enough that we can raise the consciousness of everybody in the world. And that kind of leads us to the company that we started, co-founded with an excellent group of developers and just, neuroscience geniuses and learning geniuses that is Baryon's. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But, what's really important about that story is that Aaron laid out this plan. And he said, we're going to write this first book in 48 hours to get some ebook traction. And we wrote it during COVID, and we did that. And then he said, and now we're going to self-publish a book. And then once we self-publish this book, then we're going to flip it, and we're going to go to a New York publishing house, and we're going to get a deal, and we're going to become best-selling authors. And I was like, this dude's out of his mind. But in Aaron, we trust. And so we did the self-publish. We got the bestseller. And in the conversation, because I'm a ghostwriter, essentially, that was my career. Aaron fought to put my name on the cover. The publisher said, we don't put ghostwriters on the cover. And Aaron said, you can put the kid on the cover or I walk. And they agreed to put me on the cover. And by doing that, it made me a best-selling author, but then it launched this whole career that I had of ghostwriting and storytelling. And so fast forward to now, I've written 15 books, 3 bestsellers, 1 #1 international bestseller. And the interesting thing as we're talking on the Sell Anything podcast is we didn't sell any books, like book deals, right? For ghostwriting,
Yeah.
It was all referral based. And so it's like a unique thing where, you can Google my name and you won't see that I've written 15 books because that's the whole part of being a ghostwriter, right? They pay you to not take the credit for it, right? To do all the work and not take the credit. But what I learned the most from that, sitting down with these very accomplished individuals who now are like good friends of mine. You know, they have amazing stories to tell. And we built this rhythm of how you can create a thought leader by telling an effective story. And that's really been my bread and butter. And now I'm the chief storyteller at Baryon's. Aaron's the chief strategy officer. And we are focused on telling the story of how we can democratize mentorship for everybody with our product Baryon, which is an AI mentor.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack right there. Okay.
And then we do stand-up comedy all the time too. Yeah. Aaron and I. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's hit on a handful of things for sure. So the one that stood out the most, though, was that you can become a thought leader by storytelling. Dive in. Can you mind diving into that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Well, so, you know, the power of the story is always, to me, it's shocking how many people don't grip how powerful a story is. You know, Plato said, those who tell the stories rule society. And that's never been more true, especially in a time where narrative is everything. And narratives, as we've seen, can galvanize people and they can divide people. You know, and narratives are constantly being, especially in the age of social media, are constantly being deployed to either get people behind you or, in some cases, to get people to oppose you to get more people behind you, right?
What do you mean by that?
If you piss people off, you get a lot more traction.
Really?
Yeah, that's
I
kind
could
of
actually see that.
you know, and we've gone through that with a couple of our clients. You know, like deploying these different strategies of how do you tell an effective story, and the goal is you want to have a story that A, relates to people, you know, like on a different level, but B, makes them feel something and makes them want to change something. That's the important thing. So, and stories are everything, right? Stories are books, literally. They're movies. They're stand-up bits. But they're also how you show up in the world, you know? Like if you show up on time, you know.
Is this because I was late, Forbes?
No, this, well, to be fair, I was late. You were just later.
Yes. I was like, he's going to be late.
You manifested that.
Yeah.
It's how clean your car is, you know, it's how you treat your dog or your kids, you know, there's a micro story in every single thing that we do. And what's important to know is that you can rewrite that story. You don't have to, this is something that Aaron really taught me that, you know, led into Baryons, is we can help people, A, identify the story they're telling, the loops that they're stuck in, you know, there's a lot of neuroscience behind that, you know, and then B, we can teach you how to rewire that story. How do you pause before you respond, before you get stuck in the same loop is essentially what Aaron's been helping me learn. And then finding out how we can tell that story for other people and help them tell their story. So that's kind of the importance of storytelling, is that everything is a story. And when you really realize that, you can't unsee it, because then you see the story that everyone's telling you.
It makes sense to me, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of the frame that I have around sales is everything is a sell. Like, so your career has been in writing stories, so everything is a story. My career has been in selling, so everything is a sell.
Yeah.
It's just the way that I communicate the story of you should buy this.
Well, every story is a sales, right? It is a sell, you know? I'm glad that you said that, because like, you know, like the example that I always come back to is like, if I can convince a girl to go on a date with me, I closed a sale, right?
Yes, agreed.
You know, that's a sell, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, just like I use that example because I think it helps people kind of understand it, right? You got features and you got benefits, you know, right? You know, and you're constantly, you know, with the story you're telling, you're constantly selling yourself to other people, like to say like, hey, I want to be a part of your community. I want to be part of your team. I can add this value.
Right.
And really that's what a story is a story is, this is what I learned, and this is the value I have, right? This is the demon I fought, and this is the magic elixir I returned with. And everyone wants that magic elixir.
Wow.
Yeah.
So storyteller right there. I like that. Okay. Now, the other thing is, I think you said democratize mentorship.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit, like with Baryons.
For sure. Yeah.
And to maybe preface it, because I want to make sure I'm following the right track, and if I'm not, pull me back where I should be.
For sure, yeah.
But I've been using ChatGPT a ton, just as I have been building out frameworks and trainings for salespeople and all that. Of just, here's my idea, here's the framework, this is what I'm seeing, what am I not seeing, and it's been awesome. Like, is that kind of what Baryons is? So
let's start with like the over story, right?
Okay.
This is what Malcolm Gladwell calls the over story. There's a story above a story, right?
Right.
The overstory is AI is going to transform the world in a way that we've never seen. It is there was a digital transformation where massive change happened in 20 years. Aaron and I agree that the AI transformation is going to change all of that in maybe 2-3 years.
Okay.
It will disrupt everything.
Fair.
The first thing people started using ChatGPT for was writing stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a writer. So I have two options. I can look at that and I can say, well, it can't do what I do. It won't replace me, and I can be naive, and then I can be replaced in 3 years.
Yeah.
Or I can learn how to use that tool. I can learn how to adapt.
Okay.
As the speed of transformation increases, right, which is something that Aaron wrote about in Exponential Theory, right?
Okay.
The accelerating speed of innovation means that we as humans need to accelerate how we adapt.
Okay.
Mentorship, right, is the oldest form of learning and growth ever, right? It goes back to Plato, Socrates, the idea that a mentor and a mentee could pass on the knowledge.
Christ and his disciples.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
I got you.
It is mentorship is the key to every single story. Any movie you see, like step
Mr.
3 of the
Miyagi.
storytelling, they meet the magical mentor.
Yeah.
Luke meets Obi-Wan, right? Like
Gotcha.
it's always happening.
Yeah.
So with mentorship, we argue that mentorship is going to be the fastest way for people to adapt to the change that's about to be unleashed, that's already been unleashed on us with AI.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, we are doing it with AI. So Baryon is an AI mentor you call on the phone, just like a mentor. You had Aaron Bear on my podcast, right? He's my human mentor. We aren't arguing to replace human mentors. We're arguing to add an AI mentor to it. Aaron will say, I have Aaron's permission to say this, Baryon's is 1,000x better of a mentor than he could ever be.
Right.
Because it's connected to everything,
Right.
right? A good mentor doesn't give you the answers. A good mentor asks you questions to help you find the answers yourself. You already have the truth inside you.
Yes.
Most of what mentorship is, it's unlearning. It's not more knowledge. It's unlearning, unpeeling all the stuff you were taught to rise up from, data, information, to knowledge, to understanding, eventually to wisdom. Baryons, you call it 5-10 minutes a day. Some people use it multiple times a day. Some people use it once a week.
So it's up and running right now.
It's up and running. We got our beta group. Yep. We've got, 400 users on the platform. And what we have found from our feedback is that what they are gaining the most from Baryons are the most crucial skills for adaptation: accountability, confidence, curiosity, and clarity. This is what conversations with an AI mentor can help you find in yourself.
Little stool of transformation, man.
Exactly.
4 legs there, huh?
So the goal is to democratize mentorship, right? We have this tool, this platform that people can use and interact with for a low cost, where we can make sure that everybody on the planet who wants a mentor can have an AI mentor. There's 34% of people my age have had a mentor.
Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 30.
She's a young buck, dude.
Yeah, I know. The shaved head is kind of throwing you for a loop, right? Yeah.
No, I don't want to answer that. Yeah.
And it's really just a shame that it's harder for people to find mentors. And so we're on a mission to democratize mentorship, to make it available and accessible to everybody.
Cool.
Because Aaron, as my mentor, as I just shared in my story, totally changed my whole career.
100%.
Everything. I mean, I talk like a mini Aaron, right?
That's valid. I'm actually picking up, I can see the similarities. Yeah.
And it's constantly just this, what mentorship has been for Aaron and I has been breakthroughs on the other side of miscommunications. He'll tell me something as he sees it. I will write something with him and send it back to him. And he'll be like, you got that wrong, but now I see how other people see it.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then by that, it doesn't make it wrong. It just means that we have to refine the message to create a greater understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
So it's in beta now. 400 people are on the platform.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What when's go-to market? Where are we at in the process? How'd you get there? Break down this entire Baryon's journey for me.
For sure. Aaron and I have worked with these guys before on a couple different projects. We actually created an AI that was called Storypilot. It was for storytelling.
Okay.
We built a memory that ChatGPT at the time didn't have.
Okay.
And then ChatGPT came out with a memory, and we were just obsolete, right? It's funny. Aaron and I, we have done a couple of different things with this mentorship, right? Because my whole thing with Aaron was I was like, dude, I know people my age need this. And I have been pushing him to find a way to get his message and his mentoring out there for other people my age. So we created this program called the XMBA first, and then we changed that into the Change Agents Academy, and we had 10,000 people in the Change Agents Academy. And then what we realized was that with humans providing the mentorship, for some reason there's some bias or some doubt. People say they want to change, but they don't really want to change. But when they can have a private interaction with a machine, they can actually get a lot of clarity, right?
Oh, 100%.
So then with Baryons, we are up and running in beta. We've got a bunch of users on the platform. We are in go-to-market right now. We are enrolling people to test it, and then we are also going to hit our charging threshold here pretty soon. We have our goal for how many paid users we want by the end of the year. We have our investors and our board behind us, and we're really excited to really hit full force, because I think that once people see it, people just have to experience it, and then they're like, dude, it's something totally different.
Wild, man. It sounds totally different.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And the funny thing is that as I put it through my own filters and my frames of like ChatGPT, for me, it has turned into like this. Well, I wrote a book from it, and but it was all my thoughts. I just said, hey, make it sound like I'm not from a small town in Utah and don't know how to speak English.
Okay.
And it but then you can throw in hypnotic language from NLP, throw in things like that. And it's so cool.
Yeah.
That it throws it in there.
Well, what's really interesting is that we found that AI is essentially a mirror for you. Everyone's ChatGPT
My AI
is different.
so smart.
It's right, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's uniquely yours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when people use AI as a mirror, they can gain a lot from it to help them realize, oh, okay, this is the story I'm telling.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it helps with. So we are
100%.
at like the Gutenberg moment, right? Like the printing press, right?
That's who I was going to say. I'm from a small town in Utah. Gutenberg is the printing press guy?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes, yeah. We are at that same moment. We are now going to see an explosion of writers.
Okay.
Because the skill of communicating what you're thinking has been the number one reason that people haven't been able to people haven't been writing, And what we're going to see is that human intelligence is going to carry a lot more weight, right? Your unique perspective, your unique story, your unique outlook on life, your accountability, your confidence, your curiosity, and your clarity is what's going to make you stand apart, and then AI will help you do the work.
So there's a lot of people who have been on the show that they are saying authenticity is what sets you apart, unapologetically being you. But really, those four things, if you have them, the accountability, the clarity, the curiosity, and the
clarity.
Which was
Curiosity is confidence.
Confidence.
Yeah.
If you have those, like really, authenticity can sit right on top of it, and you're like, dude, this is who I am.
Those make up authenticity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Those are the core parts of your personality, right?
Wild, man.
And those are all the parts of the story that you tell.
Yeah.
How clear are you? How curious are you in the world? How confident in how you show up? How accountable are you? Do you follow through on your word for your friends, your work, your spouses?
So cool.
And the goal is what we call human flourishing, right?
Okay.
Like, how can we move people towards this higher level of where people are literally vibrating at the highest level, for lack of a better way to explain it.
Makes sense, yeah.
Every part of their life is blossoming, in exponential theory.
They're thriving.
Yeah, in exponential theory, Aaron called it thrivability. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Right.
So cool, man. So question that I need to have answered, because I'm curious.
Okay.
Is baryons a tie to bear?
It's interesting. It's not. It was so a baryon is the smallest piece of matter in an atom, and it's where movement begins.
Really?
So that's why we call it that.
Get out of here.
But it's funny because once you kind of are open to the opportunity, you see all the different connections that people make, right? You know, Aaron Bear, right? He's like, dude, baryons. When we had our investor meeting a couple months ago, I was explaining that I was born in Baryon, Ontario, and an investor stopped me and was like, Baryon, Ontario? And I was like, dude, I didn't even think about that, right? Like, you see all these different connections that you make. And that's the cool thing about opportunity and what a mentor really helps you with, and telling a story. And, as you've definitely gone through in your sales career, right? Mm-hmm. If you see opportunities when you're open to seeing them.
100%. They're everywhere.
Everything just unfolds.
They're everywhere.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Wild. Okay, so can we pivot and shift just a little bit?
For sure.
And again, starting the conversation, Judge Judy was brought up. I just need to know what on earth happened.
Yeah. Judge Judy. All right, look, dude, if someone ever asks you to go on reality TV, say no.
I was on Family Feud.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not reality TV, is it? Kind of is. I looked stupid when I did it. So
I'd look stupid when I did it. Yeah. No, I was just, this guy like broke a lease and my roommate and I sued him. And
so it was like a real case. This is the real deal.
So we got a letter in the mail from Judge Judy. I thought it was my comic friends in LA punking me, you know, and I call this number and this woman knows everything, you know.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, we have interns that scan court dockets around the country. We think you'd be a great fit for the show. And I was like, yeah, I'll go on Judge Judy, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, I'm a storyteller and I'm a loudmouth, so I told everybody I knew that I was going to be on Judge Judy, you know. And we get there and they just like, what you do is you sign your court case over. To Judge Judy's kangaroo court, you know, and then they just trump up the charges, you know, right?
Yeah.
And everything's just made up. And I lasted in the courtroom for 7 minutes, you know, and like she jacked me up, dude.
Really?
Yeah, I was the plaintiff, and she was just like
coming at you.
Yeah, at one point she skipped the gavel and just started banging her hand, you know, like. I knew it was dead in the water when she was asking the rhetorical questions, you know? She's like, you're not a moron, are you, Mr. Shannon? I was like, no, Your Honor, I'm not a moron, you know? And so we were in the courtroom for 7 minutes, and the producers were so mad. They were like, that was so bad, it's not even going to air, you know? Get out, go home. And so we went back home.
Like, how is this my problem?
Yeah, right. So we go back home, and everyone's like, how was Judge Judy? And I was like, it was whack, you know? I don't want to talk about it. You know? And then we get a postcard in the mail, and they're like, hey, your episode of Judge Judy's going to air. And then it aired on my birthday. Yeah. And here's the thing about Judge Judy is you watch it for the first time that everyone else is watching it.
Yeah.
You know? And a lot of people watch Judge Judy. Yeah. Every time it reruns, I get a spike on my social media of hate mail.
Do you really?
Yeah, just people taking time out of their busy day to find me and tell me I'm a loser.
Why was she coming after you? Like, give us the backstory. Like, can we go into this?
Yeah. The episode's called Sushi Day. You can check that out. It's called Sushi Day because she started the court case tapping her watch saying, let's make this quick. It's Sushi Day. So a hangry Judge Judy presiding.
Yeah. Bad idea.
And no, it was just like, you know, it was like a open and shut case in like small claims court, right? But then, you know, it had blossomed into this big thing, and she just was so fed up with all of us, you know?
Yeah.
She was like,
she wanted sushi.
Just screw you, get out of my she shooed me.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
Yeah, dude, I got shooed by Judge Judy. Yeah. That was tough, bro. That was a blow to the ego. Yeah, and then everyone like is like, oh my God, can I watch it? And they're like, do you want to watch it? It's like, dude, I don't want to watch that. You know?
Yeah,
like,
I was there.
You should have seen me watching it live the first time. That would have been a good live stream, you know? Because I'm like, it's like watching a coach watch his team have a meltdown in the fourth quarter, you know? I'm like standing up, like with my hands on my knees, like, oh, dude, this is going so bad, you know? Right? Like, because the magic's all in the editing, and spoiler alert, they're not going to make you look good, you know? And
but you didn't break the lease.
No, I didn't. How
are you the bad guy?
It was just a ridiculous. I think that the way they explained it was a bunch of drunken debauchery in the case, because there was like a fight between this roommate of mine and us, and he said he was going to kill me in my sleep, and the only reason we got on air was because of the post game. You know, you go into that post game interview, right? Like you just come out screaming hot, right? You know, and they just got a microphone, you know, and at one point, like on national TV, I feel bad about this. I said his family's gene pool had too much chlorine in it, you know, which I regret in hindsight, you know. But it's funny how they set it up because they fly you in and then they put you up in a hotel. But like we were in the plaintiff hotel, right? Like they you know, they don't put plaintiffs and defendants in the same hotel because they don't want you throwing elbows in the lobby, right? You know, and there's a lot of places I thought I'd be in my life, but one of them wasn't drinking beers in a hotel hot tub with other Judge Judy plaintiffs. That was more interesting than the show, to be honest. You know?
So great.
Yeah.
So did you get to hear their stories? Like,
oh yeah, so many great stories, man. And that's what's so great about stand-up, right? Is everything's a story. You know, like anything bad in my life, I can turn into a bit. you know,
Okay,
right? And that's the difference between like, you know, do I have a sense of humor or is this an illness, you know, right? Because
Right.
like, for example, like I broke my foot a couple weeks ago, right? And as I'm sitting in the waiting room, I'm like, I'm going to get some good material out of this, you know, right? I've already got 10. I've rocked 10 minutes. It kills, you know?
Yeah.
But it's finding when you find the funny in pain, you can really change other people who listen to it, right? Like a lot of people when they come to comedy shows, right? So one of the guys that I've worked with on a book, he's an A-list comedian. I've gone on the road with him. And what he taught me was a lot of the professionalism that comes with comedy. You know, like, you know, he does meet and greets after the show. And after one show and like, I don't know, I think we were in Texas, this woman came up to him and said, tickets to your show was my Christmas gift. And it was like, whoa, dude, this is like important. You know, like some woman on Christmas morning opened up and saw that she had 2 tickets to go see this guy.
Right.
And that made her Christmas, you know, because then you think about it, it's like tickets are expensive, right?
Yeah.
They probably went to dinner, you know, they took an Uber, you know, they got a babysitter, maybe they got a hotel room, you know, and you realize that you really got to come correct for people, you know, you really, it's an obligation to people, you know, and Aaron and I, we run a comedy show in Arizona, a monthly show at our friend's brewery. And it's just, you know, it's a good time for us, but it's because we take it seriously and we like put together a really good show because people go to the movies, people watch stand up, people listen to watch TV, people listen to podcasts because they want to either escape or learn something or both.
Right.
And that's important, you know, like a lot of people will like for that 90 minutes, you know, people got to forget about all their problems.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing for people to do.
Yeah, it's huge, man. I like what you said. That you got to come correct.
Yeah,
for the people.
You got to come correct.
That makes sense. Is that an Aaronism?
That's
that you token that one?
That's I don't think Aaron would say correct, but he's got the same mentality. You know, like you show up, like you do your job. You know, like you gotta put your best foot forward. Like you have to. Nothing is owed to you from an audience, from a reader, from a listener. You know, from someone you're selling to. They don't owe you anything. You know,
at all.
If anything, you're bothering them, right? You know, and so you know, and so if you can come correct and give value, you know, that's the big thing that Aaron taught me a lot was like come giving, you know, come with something to offer. You know, I've seen this a lot in my generation, the generation below me. They kind of have this screw you, pay me mentality. You know, where everything's very transactional, and I think that's kind of the key thing that having a mentor taught me was the power of your relationships, you know, and especially as they get deeper, you know, and as you begin to learn more and you know, I don't have this whole idea fleshed out yet, but I'm working on this idea that like the people that are closest to you can piss you off like nobody else.
Oh, dude.
You know,
it's a real thing, man.
And it's because they know you.
Yeah.
And they love you and they care about you. So they challenge your comfort zone. They challenge your habits. They challenge how you come.
Absolutely.
You know, how you show up.
And the ones that are closest tend to not come with everything because you're like, I've given everything to everybody else.
Right.
So like I'm
100%.
I'm coming in with my tail down and you want my tail up? No, dude, you're bugging me.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
But they don't owe you anything. You owe it to them to be your best. So
for sure.
It makes sense to me, man.
Nothing's taken for granted, right?
Yeah.
You know, like any time you get to spend with a person, it's a choice.
100%.
Right? On both of your parts.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Right? Like, you know, you can look at it and you can be ungrateful and be like, oh, why am I here? But then you realize like they're making a choice to be here too. You know? You got to come correct, you know?
I love that, man.
Yeah.
So a question is just looming in my mind.
Sure.
So starts in ghostwriting or starts in ASU.
Yeah.
Then we go to ghostwriting. Then all of a sudden we're launching a tech company, an AI mentoring company. And all in the background, we're hosting a comedy show that's like people are showing up and they're having a great time. You got a lot of irons in the fire, man.
You know, I think
you do have ADHD.
My story starts further back. No, well, my story, if we zoom out a little bit, when I was in high school, I had a traumatic brain injury.
Oh, shoot.
And I had to relearn how to read and write. Yeah, playing hockey.
You got to give that up, bro.
I know, dude. Everyone's telling me that.
I'm just kidding.
I'm working through a lot of residual trauma with my foot because the last time I couldn't play hockey was because I had a traumatic brain injury.
Jeez.
And I had doctors tell me, they were trying to prepare me. They're trying to help me. They're like, you probably won't go to university. And I was like, hey man, I'll probably still get into Arizona State,
Yeah.
Go Devils. And I had to relearn how to read and write at 16.
Dang, dude.
So you want to talk about taking things for granted. I took reading and writing for granted, because once you don't have it, you realize how much you love it and how much you miss it. And that's when I went all in on writing.
Wild,
and that was
dude.
the whole point, was just like, it's crazy when you're having to relearn how to hold a pen, right? And it was kind of like a chip on the shoulder, like I'll overcome odds, and I graduated top of my class in high school, and I, went to ASU in a full ride. And, I was a kid 2 years ago, they said probably wouldn't go to school. Yeah. And then not only that, I'm a writer's fellow at Arizona State, and now I'm teaching English 101 and English 102 as a sophomore, and it's like, dude, I am, there's something about, when negative things happen, when you hit rock bottom, you can bounce back real high. Right.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my
if
goal.
the foundation of truth is solid, you can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, I know I've said it a million times, but mentorship, that was what got me out of it. I was searching for an influential figure to kind of help point me in the right direction. And the greatest thing Aaron did for me was probably working against his own interests, to say, like, he could have easily said, like, hey, come work for me, come do these things, come do this for me, put me in a role, and just, coached me instead of mentored me, right?
Yeah.
But
What's
he
the
didn't
difference?
coach me, he mentored me. What?
Yeah.
Sorry?
What's the difference? Break that down for the audience,
So
please.
coaching is a lot more transactional.
Okay.
And it's very focused on, like, do this how I did it. Here are the answers. This is how you do this. Mentorship is like starting over at zero, right? It's not a first principle of like this is what we know, and this is how you do it, and this is how you show up. And, mentorship is, what do you want to do? What is your higher purpose? What is your ikigai, right? And against his own self-interest, Aaron was like, hey man, this is what you were put on this planet to do. You should go do that, And then it was kind of just our relationship and my commitment with him, where I found out ways to do that for us, right? To be a writer for us. And, telling a story of an AI company, where I'm the young guy on the team, right? All of these people are incredibly accomplished. They've all had exits. They're all like, the team that we have is unmatched, and it's the reason why it's going to be so successful. It's the reason why it's where it's at, and it's just an honor to be there. Because people don't owe you nothing, right? You got to show up, you got to come correct, and you're like, how can I tell this story the best for everybody, and how can I get everybody aligned on the same message? And it's a lot of listening, and I think that's kind of the biggest thing that I've discovered lately. As you do anything, the more you do something, the more you realize you have no idea what you're doing.
Correct. Yeah, that's true.
The more I write, the more I'm like, I don't know anything, right? I've written 15 books, and I sit down to write, and I'm like, I don't know nothing, right?
Yeah.
Writing is just listening. That's all writing is. But it's not listening to the words people are saying. It's listening to what they're actually telling you. In every conversation, there's several different conversations happening at every time.
Right.
There's what you're saying. There's what I'm hearing.
Right.
There's what you think you're saying. There's what I think you're saying. Right. And then vice versa. Right. Now, between two people, we have 8 conversations going on.
Right.
How can you listen to the conversation over top? Because all movie dialogue is not what we would say in a conversation. All stand-up bits, when I write them in essays or when I put words in people's mouths when I tell bits, it's not what we said in the moment. It's what you wanted to say, but you couldn't because of social norms. Right?
So comedy is just basically saying, I'm going to take the social norm, I'm going to jump right over it.
Yeah, exactly. It's saying what you were saying, but just like in a way that is funny, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of funny stuff and everything. And that's all writing is it's listening, right? So like ghostwriting, I sit with these accomplished people who give me tens of hours of their time, sometimes hundreds, to get the book done, right?
Yeah.
And I sit and I listen, and I record it, and I have all the words that they said, right?
Right.
But more so, I listen to what they were actually saying. And that's the magic of storytelling, of ghostwriting, of any kind of story. Like with Baryons, we have all these features, we do all these benefits, but what's the story we're actually telling?
Right.
right? What are we actually trying to communicate? You know?
Right.
And when you can find that, then you just write that, and you write it in a way where it's subliminal. Like everyone will come across it themselves. You know,
Right.
People are intuitive. People can really
Right.
pick up on what you're saying. But unless you know what you're supposed to be saying, what the conversation is over top,
Yeah.
then everything else is just copy. You know,
Wild, dude.
yeah,
Brady and his team, they're really good at that.
for sure.
Really, because we started this podcast, and I'm only just responding so I can connect the dots of what you're saying. We started this podcast with just the idea of, hey, let's talk about sales.
Mm-hmm.
Never in 100 years in my mind was a German short hair pointer involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
But Brady just basically was like, dude, tell me about you. Tell me like what's going, like what makes you you. And honestly, like I got gun dogs for days. Like I love them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I hate them with all my soul, but I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And really, dude, that's like, it is. So many times when I've been hunting, I'm like, this is so much like sales. I am just waiting for the ideal stinking prospect, or I'm just looking for it. Then I'm going to find it. Then I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And like, it's the parallel. I get what you're saying. It's powerful, man.
Well, I mean, that's your story, right?
Right.
You know, that's your micro story, right?
Yeah.
You know, everything you wear represents a part of you. Your dog represents a part of you, right?
Right.
Your hobbies represent a part of you. You know?
Absolutely.
Like you go hunting, okay? Well, commonly sales guys are the hunters for a team.
Yeah, they
right?
got to bring it
You know?
home, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So
we don't eat if unless I sell something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense that you would be a hunter, you know,
Yeah.
like, and that's where like the more you get involved in it, you can kind of like guess people's hobbies like before they even tell you them. Right. Because you're like, I think I can kind of figure out like what they're looking for, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the interesting thing that I've learned a lot with Aaron, you know, the Hermetic law of polarity, like everything is dual, right? You are not just one thing. You are both things at the same time. Right?
Okay.
Because
Dive into that a little bit. That's deep.
yeah, so I mean, everything is dual, right? So you are like the example I'll give is like I always thought introverts were arrogant. You know, like what's so great about you that you just want to spend time with yourself? You know, and,
You like yourself that much,
oh
bro?
yeah, you're that great. You know, because I always thought I was an extrovert. You know.
Yeah.
And then I started spending time alone with myself, and I realized
so great about
it was like I was
thank you.
I was having a problem with spending time with myself, you know.
Right.
And then the funny thing is, the more comfortable I got with spending time with myself, the more I realized I'm an introvert most of the time, and an extrovert just when the lights are on, when the show's on, you know.
I'm the same way, dude.
Yeah, right.
I actually, that's partially why I like hunting, man. If
Sure.
I could just be out there and I'm like, this is great. This is great. I don't want to say anything. I just want to be alone in my thoughts. Oh, I get to shoot something. Okay, hold on. Now I'm going to depart from my thoughts and go get that. Now I get to be alone. Yeah.
So when you're hunting, what do you think about?
Life, man. Like usually what consumes most of my mind is how do I do better? How do I get better? What am I not considering? Like growth and just becoming a more aligned, God-fearing, respectable, loving man is like consumes most of my thoughts. And then if we're being 100% honest, for sure some sex will creep in there. I'm like,
sure.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So what does better mean to you?
What's better mean to me?
Yeah.
Just growth, man. I think the ultimate purpose, this is just my own personal belief, and this is my own frame. I think God sent us each here to win. I think he sent us here to become more like Jesus Christ. And so the more aligned I can become with Jesus Christ and the more I can follow his teachings, like I think I'm then growing. If I can forgive people quickly, if I can be kind, if I can have integrity, how can I expand on what I have? Just, I think really an easy way to condense it down into one statement is I'm constantly thinking about the game of expansion. How do I take on more but do less? Like how can my presence be more influential?
So what have you learned? In what way have you grown recently? What's a recent breakthrough you had?
That's deep. That's a good question. You know, a guy we had on the show yesterday, he, because we're recording them in batches, right? So guy, he had one of his assistants was here, and his assistant said 99% truth is still 100% a lie, because that 1% is still there. And I thought, that is actually pretty deep. And I would say over the last few weeks, that has actually been very true for me. He just articulated it, meaning I always thought I was being very integrous, but if I'm off just a little bit, just even 1%, I'm not in 100% integrity. And that's probably been one of the biggest breakthroughs.
So integrity, like, it's interesting that you bring that up, because like as it relates to what I do,
Right.
You tell a story, you
Right.
embellish a story a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You add an entertainment flavor,
Right.
But the integrity part, the important thing is like, is the theme, is the thesis, is the intention
Yeah. The
aligned?
intention is everything. Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. So there's a guy, I don't know if you've ever heard, have you met William Lamb?
Yeah,
So you know Will?
he's brilliant.
So one of his mentors is David Morehouse. You ever met David Morehouse?
I haven't met David, no.
So David, I took a class from David one time on remote viewing,
Yes.
and dude, awesome.
Yeah.
It's like meditation.
Right.
Like, whoa, what just happened? It's super cool. But Dr. Morehouse said repeatedly over that week, intention governs everything. And he like kept saying it. And I was like, that's so true, dude. That is so true. So yeah, the intention, if the intention is pure and the intention is genuinely to create a positive energy exchange, I think 100%, then it's still on the foundation of truth.
Yeah.
But if the intention is, I'm going to tell you a half truth so I can deceive you to get what I want, that's a lie.
So what's the relationship between like intention and transparency when it comes to something like sales?
Dude, it's a superpower. It's 100% a superpower. And there have been so many deals that I have won by just saying, dude, here's the honest truth. This is the numbers. You want it, take it. If you don't, I get it. You can tell me no. And people will be like, oh, yeah, I'll do it. Let's do it. Where if you're trying to put lipstick on the pig, they're going to eventually get it home and realize it's a pig. And it isn't this beautiful thing that they thought you sold them. So it just, candidly, you just tell them what it is.
Have you run into a place where your good intentions have been like too good to be true and been like doubted?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. What do you do when you hit that?
Are you mentoring me right now? Is that what's happening right now?
I'm writing a book in my mind right now, dude. I'm telling a story.
I like it, dude. So ask the question one more time.
So I've seen this with Aaron a lot, where Aaron has very pure intentions. Like he wants the best for you. And I think that's his sales superpower. I have seen it also where people are skeptical because they've been burned before or it seems too good to be true.
100%.
So when you run into a place where your intention is doubted, even though you know your intention to be pure,
Yeah.
and your intention has been doubted, what do you do?
How do I respond to that?
Yeah.
I respect their agency. I respect their, cool, you don't have to believe me. Like, again, kind of what I was just saying, you can tell me no. Like, I'm confident that if we play this game, it's going to work. Like, I'm confident if you buy this product or you get this, you're going to be ecstatic at the result. I'm also confident you can tell me no. And then we'll never know. So it's up to you. And I think not putting pressure on people, but knowing that you're coming from 100% alignment, it doesn't really matter what they say.
So not putting pressure on people, that's something Aaron always says, go for the no, right? Like a no is better than being strung along, right?
Everything is by an invitation, never an obligation.
Yeah.
Like,
so do you focus on convincing?
I used to, like a champion. And then it's exhausting. Yeah.
It is.
It's exhausting.
Right.
Yeah. I used to just talk in circles until I would get what I want. And it's not even because they wanted it. It's because they wanted me to shut up and so they could do what they want.
Sure.
Like kids do that with their parents all the time. My kids do it to me now where I'm like, bro, you are driving me bonkers.
Yeah.
But I'm about to break because you're not backing down, which I'm getting better at. So if they watch this, hopefully they hear it. I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
Back off.
Stop trying to convince them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really like to just approach the sales with, here's the facts. Well, before even I approach it with that, it's kind of what you were saying with mentoring people. What do you actually want? Like, what's your deepest pit that you've ever found yourself in? And then what's the peak you want to climb to? And if what I can offer you, we talked about this on another episode, but if what I can offer you as my product or my service or my mentorship or whatever it may be, can be the path to get you to the peak, then I will 100% put the invitation out there so powerfully. I will pitch it to you. And if you want it, it's all by invitation. It's yours. But it's not an obligation.
Yeah.
If you do not want it, that's okay. We're not going to live on maybe mountain. You're going to tell me no, or you're going to tell me yes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, changing people is like this, Aaron calls it the illusion of control.
It is.
That somehow, that's an intoxicating illusion. The idea that you can control someone.
You cannot.
You cannot.
That's one of the biggest breakthroughs, actually, that you say that this last week, even with, and this is just me being so blunt and raw. I think unconsciously for the longest time, I really tried to control everything in my environment, especially in my family. You can't.
Right.
Like I have 7 kids. I have a beautiful wife. I can't control any of them. Like I want to. But it's such an illusion that then leaves you just so burned out that you're like, you're not doing what I want you to do anyways. Why aren't you listening?
Yeah. Right.
Well, because you're being a crappy communicator. That's why they're not listening. So one, lead by example, set the standard for yourself.
Accountability.
Yeah. Just be who you say you want them to be, and then they can follow you. But if there's any hypocrisy in you at all, they're going to be like, yeah, we're going to do that for sure.
Yeah.
And we're going to listen to Dad.
So what you just said there are all of the tenets that Baryons brings, right?
I love it.
Authenticity,
Yeah.
Or accountability, right?
Yeah.
You're accountable to what you're saying, It's not that they're not hearing I'm communicating poorly, right?
Right.
You have to have clarity on who you are so that you can set the example. And then you have to be confident that you're going to be that. And then you have to be curious to be like, I wonder what they are going to take from this.
100%, dude.
Right. Yeah.
So how do we get all these people on this little listening to the show on Baryons?
Yeah. Baryons.ai.
Okay.
BARYONS.ai. Depending on when you hear this, you can join the wait list to join it. Or if we are fully open to everybody, you can just sign up.
Can I text Aaron and get in?
You know what? You're talking to me.
Dude,
so I got you.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
You're like, you don't need Aaron. I'm right here.
Well, here's what would happen. You would text Aaron, and then Aaron would text me.
Dude, he really is such a stud.
I'm really grateful to have him in my life. And, it's funny. There have been a lot of people in my life and in his life that have tried to drive a wedge between us because a lot of people don't understand the relationship, right? And, I've had a lot of people very close to me, right, who have said things like, this guy's taking advantage of you, why are you attached to this guy, And the learning for me, which was a hard lesson to learn, was that somehow I had communicated or told a story that made them think that. That's not on them.
Fair, dude. Yes,
that's
not
on me.
Yeah, your communication.
And when Aaron pointed that out, that was hard to hear because I was like, no way that they're thinking that. I think so highly of you, but that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily communicating that, right? Or people are only going to hear certain pieces, right? So, to your point about, intention and transparency, like what I've started to lead with is just telling people, this is my intention out of this. This is what I'm going to get, and just being fully upfront about it.
Right.
And then the mystery's gone, right?
Dude, it really is.
Like in dating, right? The big thing is like, how do you give confidence? That because so many people my generation play these games, right?
Dude,
and it's about keeping people kind of in this limbo, right?
My wife hates the limbo, dude. Women want clarity, dude.
Yeah, dude.
They don't like. And honestly, I was a horrible dater because, like, I'm such a flirt for sure.
For sure.
But if I really liked you, like, I'm just so direct.
Yeah.
And the reason my wife and I got married is because, like, I saw her, I was like, you literally have the prettiest eyes I've ever seen. And then she smiled, and I was like, whoa, and your smile. And she was like, what the crap is this dude? Like,
yeah, right.
And then it just started from there. And it just is, it's always been, we've always worked really hard to just say, this is where we're at. Like, and it's been great. 20 years deep.
I think the takeaway is tell the people that you love them.
Yeah.
And if somehow the people that you love think differently, then you got to evaluate the story that you're telling, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone gives and receives love in a different way.
100%.
And it's about, if you get to the root of any stand-up bit, of any movie, of any book, it all revolves around love.
100%.
It's the highest thing that you can vibrate at, right?
100%.
It is the center of flourishing, right?
Yeah.
Is love,
Yeah.
And those that can effectively communicate that and make other people feel it,
Right.
when it's authentic and not, narcissistic and
Yeah.
manipulative, those are people that
Controlling,
win.
Dude, 100%. And I don't know what you're like from a spiritual standpoint, not a religious standpoint. Like religiously, Christianity is a thing for me, but like spiritually, if we're looking at written text, literally that's what the Bible says. Everything else will fail. Like everything, faith will fail, hope will fail, men's hearts will fail them, but charity, which is the love of Christ, will never fail.
Yeah.
And because it is the highest vibrational thing, dude. It's just so powerful that if you can just love them, and part of loving them is like, I'm gonna let you fall on your face. I can see what's gonna happen, but like, love you.
Yeah.
I'm here when you get up.
For sure.
And if you need help up, I'm still here.
The way that I am a very spiritual person, and the way that I approach life was also something that Aaron helped teach me. That when he first taught it to me, I thought it was hokey.
Yeah.
And then I started
Woo-woo.
to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's just have fun.
Yeah, dude.
If you're having fun, that is the key to life. It's not fun to be racist.
No.
It's not fun to be manipulative.
No.
It's not fun to punch down and make people feel worse about themselves.
Right.
You know what is fun? Making people feel loved.
Yeah.
It's really fun to make people laugh. It's really, really fun to look at the bad stuff that happens to you and laugh at it and say, man, this is going to be a good bit when I get out of this hospital waiting room,
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, I do have a question.
Yeah.
And it's not inside of social norms.
Okay.
But it's a hot button. The racism, you just hit it.
Yeah.
What's how do you use comedy to break down racism? Or is it so taboo that you're like, bro, I can't even touch that?
So I'm glad you said that. This one of my best friends, this guy I lived with for many years.
Yeah.
We were Cabana Boys together. I have been begging him to do stand-up comedy for a long time. And for the last 18 months, he started, and he's killer.
Good.
Hilarious. When we're up there together, we're unstoppable.
Yeah.
I brought him into my corporate world and, transitioned a gig that I had hosting this thing called Venture Cafe Phoenix over to him to have him take it.
Okay.
And it was just this awesome relationship to see someone flourish in this. It was like he was a natural as soon as he started, and we have this language that we use to communicate of comedy, where like, I know what he's going to say. He knows what I'm going to say. And when we're up there, we're just in flow and we're hilarious. Right.
Right.
And the thing is, we couldn't look more different, the joke I always have, his name's Rashad and he looks like a Rashad, and I'm a Forbes and I look like a Forbes,
Okay.
And I think the thing about race, it's interesting that you asked that, is like, this girl I'm seeing now, she said to me the other day, like, she paid me a compliment. She's like, you got the vibe of a guy who gets invited to the cookout. And what she was trying to say was like, it seems like you would, be invited to a black function, right?
Yeah, yeah.
For lack of a better word.
That's what I thought you were saying. I was like, is that what he's saying?
And I was like, yeah, like I lived with Rashad forever. And she's like, oh, that's why I have that vibe,
Yeah.
And it's like with race, with gender, with sexuality, with ethnicity, with culture, there's the universal language that cuts through everything is love,
Powerful, dude.
and it's just fun and it's comedy. And, like I can tell all these stories about Rashad and not say his name and not give any information, and they're just as funny,
Right.
But the interesting thing is when I add the name and I add the description, it's that much funnier. You know? Because when we walk into a room, people are like, I'm surprised that these guys are best friends. You know?
Yeah.
Right? We don't look like I mean, like after I was living with Shad, I started wearing like chains and stuff. You know, like.
And is he from Michigan too?
No.
Okay.
I met him as a Cabana boy here in Arizona, and
I know a Rashad from Michigan. I was like, if it's the same dude, so I was really hoping he was.
No, he's and you can see him at Arizona After Dark every month when we do it. He's part of our crew.
Cool.
You know, and I think the important thing when it comes to our differences is to, you know, like celebrate them. You know, Aaron always says, like, you know, we always talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're not really arguing for diversity. The world is diverse.
Very.
What we're arguing for is inclusion and connection. You
Yeah.
know? How can people with different points of view get together and find that the human experience at a root level isn't any different?
Right.
You know, we're all
Right.
people. We're all just trying to figure it out.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. So here's a question I ask everybody.
Sure.
The whole idea of Sell Anything
Mm-hmm.
is for people to buy into themselves, to be sold onto themselves.
I love that.
So if there was one thing in addition to all of the nuggets that you've already dropped, if there was one thing you could share with the audience so they would be more fully sold on themselves, what would that be?
Well, I would ask them if they realize if they are the main character in their story.
Mm.
Aaron always says, you do not experience the world experiences you.
He does say that. He said that on the show.
And that's really important.
Yeah.
There's this old phrase about you never walk through the same river twice, because you can cross that river, but by the time you cross that river again, you have changed and the river has changed. You have the ability every day, every moment. The only moment is now, and you can write your story however you want it, by how you show up, by how you pause before you respond.
Cool.
So if you feel like you're not the main character in your story, the hard truth is that's on you.
Right.
So if you want to buy into yourself, how are you the hero? And if you're not showing up as the hero, how do you change that so that you write the story where you are the hero?
Right.
Because if you're not the hero in your own story, then you're the victim. And victims, honestly, are the villains in everyone else's story.
Dang, dude.
I just came up with that. That felt good.
I think that might be a little edit thing, a short.
That felt good.
That's a good one, dude. That was awesome. That's powerful. Thank you, man. Thank you for sharing that. And Forbes, thank you for coming on the show, dude.
Dude, anytime, man.
You're a stud.
This
Thank
is
you.
awesome. Yeah, call your Baryon, call your mentor. I'll hook you up. Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks,
Cool.
my man.
All right, thank you.
See ya.